We are about 2 minutes away from starting our workforce webinar about how you can use work-based learning as a workforce development strategy. We have some really great speakers for us this afternoon, individuals that are going to share their perspective, and we look forward to welcoming a few of you. We're seeing all of you join. We're probably going to start in about 2 minutes, so just hold tight. Just a few housekeeping things that will get us started, and then we will kick it off to our first speaker. So looking forward to and great to see all the familiar faces and names that are joining us here today. So in about 2 minutes, we're going to get started. See everyone starting to join us. We are going to get started here in a minute or two. We look forward to all of you joining us on this wonderful Friday afternoon. I think we've hit afternoon, so we're on the slide to the weekend. So appreciate everyone joining us, and we're going to get started here in a few minutes. It's great to see all of you joining us. We're excited. We are just right over that 20 individual mark here on the webinar. We're at 12:01, but we know how busy it gets. So we're going to go ahead and just give everyone maybe one more minute to join, and we'll start just a few minutes late just so we can make sure that everyone can join and get all of the content. So hang with us, and we look forward to welcoming all of you and sharing more about work-based learning strategies. Welcome, everyone, to our session two, collaboration between the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber, Golden Pass Solutions, and a partnership sponsor with our NSF AgTech Engine in North Dakota, known as FARMS. We're very excited to welcome you to session two. How can you use work-based learning as a workforce development strategy? My name is Jane Bangsness-Frisch, and I have the opportunity to serve alongside of great colleagues here at the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber, working on workforce initiatives, connect, convene, and collaborate to make sure that we have a robust workforce for our entire region. Very excited to have all of you here today. We're just going to go through a few housekeeping items, and also just want to note that we have a collaborating sponsor and partner for our work-based learning. Patrick Menier will be our host throughout the rest of the day today to kind of shepherd us through this great information. I'll be working to ensure all of you that might have questions or concerns throughout the webinar, that we can get those asked of our great presenters and get some really good discussion going as well. So just a few housekeeping items. I do want to note that this webinar is being recorded. We will be posting that on our chamber website and be sharing that out with all of those that have either attended or at least registered to attend. We encourage you to ask questions, as I mentioned, to get engaged and be involved in this webinar today. So please enter any questions that you might have in chat. Either you can do that directly to me or to the entire group, or if you would like, feel free to unmute your camera and ask away. We would appreciate that. There will be a follow-up resource guide with links that will be shared after the presentation today. And we just ask for your feedback. So at the end, we're going to share a link out to a quick survey we can better understand how we can best serve and share more information about work-based learning. So at this point, I want to turn it over to Patrick. And as that slide's coming up, I do want to recognize Heidi Schultz, who is our workforce engagement coordinator. She's been also instrumental in these webinars and getting these off. So we're really excited to be able to provide these. And Patrick, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jane. And thanks for everybody joining over lunch. We're excited to kind of go through this content with you. So real quick, I wanted to introduce our presenters for the day. And one of the things that's so fun about the work that we do is you get to work with people across the state and even across the region in multiple states. So today we're actually going to have Tom Dryberg, who is on the Minnesota side of the river, talking about the programs that they're driving and the academy model that is being used with the Moorhead Public School District. And we will have a counterpart, a similar role, Dr. Denise Jonas, who will be talking about the activities going on around CTE and career exploration in Cass County on the North Dakota side. Lana Feely will be available to take questions, works very closely with Dr. Jonas and then all of the schools in Cass County. And finally, I will be talking through a few things related to Compass and some different tools that employers can use. The agenda that we will follow is basically going to follow the bullets that you see on the slide. We really want to focus in on what are the different ways that employers can connect with students depending on where the student is at in their school career, whether they're in middle school, in high school, even into college. And how can you as an employer use that as a workforce development strategy? How can you understand what's happening in the schools and take advantage of that and get connected with all of the great stuff that people like Tom and Dr. Jonas are driving. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker, Tom Dryberg. Again, Tom is with the Moorhead Public School District, and he basically runs the Career Academy that a lot of you see on I-94 when you're driving into Moorhead or out of Moorhead. So Tom, I'll turn it over to you, and feel free to take over and walk us through your slides.
Sounds good. Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with everybody today. I think it's really a beneficial thing that the Chamber and Patrick are putting on these basically learning opportunities for our industry partners as well as ourselves to just continually refine and get better at what we do as well. I know that we see what happens in the Fargo, West Fargo school districts, and we know that there's a lot of carryover, and I hope that you will find as industry partners, some of those things that we're going to bring to you today are similar, but a little bit different. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to work together to make great experience and opportunities for our students. So the first slide that you see here is a little bit of more of a visual representation of how we like to talk to our students about working their way through our career awareness, exploration, preparation opportunities. So we partner with Sanford Health and Eventide, and this is more on the health careers focus side of things. So when we talk about a student's freshman year, we're introing them to intro to health science course. We're talking to them about some career opportunities that might be out there. Obviously, we understand that, when they're 14, 15 years old, they're not really looking at what they're going to be doing when they're 25, 30. So we know that this is more just an initial engagement, but what we really want them to do is we want them to start taking their academic plans seriously. So, we offer the Intro to Health Science course as freshmen, and we want our students to take those courses with the idea that if it's not something they're interested in, hopefully they can recognize that going through that course. And if it is something they're recognized that they want to be a part of, they can obviously continue on and go more into the exploration portion of it. So their sophomore year, we provide our students with industry tours in the spring of the year. And there's, various things that they can see when they go on those industry tours. They can talk to individuals that are working in those locations. They have the chance to continue their education, whether it's the EMR course that we offer, emergency medical responders, or if they want to look at going into maybe some different science courses that sophomore year. We really want them to start investing that time and effort into that pathway to go into healthcare. By the time they get to their junior and senior year, they're looking at that preparation. So how do we prepare them the right way? How do we give them the best opportunities possible? We believe that getting that CNA course and being able to get that certification is really vital for them to at least explore the opportunities that both Eventide and Sanford have. And then following that up their senior year with an internship at one of those locations or any of the other locations that we have throughout the community. It's not just on the Moorhead side. It can be Fargo, West Fargo, wherever it is that students have the ability to get some of that hands-on learning experience. We feel like that's the valuable piece of this. So, you know, when you look at this as from an industry standpoint, how do you fit into these? You know, how do we work a student through from their freshman year all the way through their senior year to make sure that we're giving them the benefit of those courses that we offer, and then mix that with the experiences that you can provide on your side of things. If you want to hit that next slide. So just a little bit more about the Moorhead Career Academy, and we've been here now for 4 years. I would say that 3 years have been used to kind of get us off the ground and get us a little bit more focused on exactly how our Career Academy works. Sometimes there's the misconception that we are a specific different entity than the high school. Right now we have most of our elective credits. So if it's not a core class, it's being taught over here at the Career Academy. Once we complete our building project, which should be done this fall, we'll hopefully be able to kind of balance out a little bit more and focus a little bit more on the CTE courses being offered. And then also focus a little bit more on the junior, senior level classes within our building, which I think it'll hopefully make it a little bit easier for people to understand and realize how we work over here in Moorhead. So we followed a modified academy model here. And the state of Minnesota has really probably a different look at it than what it looks like in North Dakota. But you know, there's more and more schools that are getting on board with this academy model, trying to give students relevant experiential learning opportunities within trade and industry, family and consumer sciences, business and IT, and design thinking. Those are all pieces to that CTE puzzle that we want to make sure that our students are able to get. And then through that, what we have done within the Moorhead High School Career Academy is we have dedicated some specific classes to programs of study. And our goal with the programs of study was to really give students the ability to create their own plan for their academic learning. When we talk to our students, we really want them to focus on taking classes that they believe are going to help them in their future, and not just simply taking courses to keep their schedules busy. We want them to be able to make educated decisions before they get out of high school. So then if they decide that going into the workforce right out of high school is what they believe is the best plan for them, they have some data and some education behind that to make that decision. Same with going into the workforce, going into a 2-year or a 4-year school. We really want to set them up for a good opportunity going forward. So when the Career Academy opened a few years ago, we really started to work on our idea of programs of study. And that's the next piece to this puzzle is we have 19 current programs of study here at the Career Academy. And those programs of study are hopefully identifiable by our sophomores at the end of our sophomore year. Going into their junior and senior year, the hope is that 3 classes typically can be taken, even if they don't get signed up by the time that they're a junior. They still have the ability to finish that program of study. They still have the ability to work on a career-focused learning experience, whether it's an internship, some sort of work experience within the work world. But then the other piece to that is if there's not something, so I'll give you an example of, we have an intro to education course. Well, that intro to education course kind of serves as our work experience for our students that are interested in going into teaching. They have to do 60 observation hours within that class. And then they can get some experience seeing a real world class, maybe a classroom instructor that they've had in the past, or an instructor that's willing to have a student in there and do a little bit more of the observation stuff. So the 19 programs of study for us is really kind of our baseline. We know that we're going to add some to that. There's going to be obviously some different pieces that come with that. And we always are looking for industry partners to be able to work with us on those. How can we create relevant experiences for our students at the end of their high school career? That's where the programs of study and then our industry partnerships come into play. Some of the challenges that we've had, over the past few years, I think for me, at least the one piece is just kind of getting everybody on the same page with terminology. And I know that, you'll hear a little bit more on the North Dakota side of things, but there's some different terminology even on the other side of the river from what we use. And being able to educate and get everybody on the same page with that, I think is really important for us to all be successful. Providing those opportunities for students and being able to give those stories back to our newer students is really important as well. We just had some industry partners in the other day talking with some of our students that had just completed their internship at Sanford. And it was amazing to listen to the stories. We had two individuals in. One of them said, "Yep, I'm going to go into nursing. That's exactly what I wanted." And then the other one was, I'm going to make a little bit of a change. And that's, to us, that's a win on both sides, because we want them to hopefully make those decisions prior to getting into the next stage of their lives. And then finding room in schedules has always been an interesting piece. Kids have busy lives. How can we get them into those industry experiences with enough time to have some, success within those? Is an hour and a half a long enough time to be able to give a kid a solid work experience? That just kind of depends on where everybody's at. And then obviously you'll hear as well too that there's some hoops that both sides have to jump through. If you're under the age of 18, on the Minnesota side, we have the Department of Labor and Industry that's willing to provide some things through youth skills training. That opens up some different avenues for us to be able to get our students into those. But then, if we work with somebody on the North Dakota side, how do we make sure that we are once again providing an opportunity for our businesses to host the students, as well as our students to be able to get some quality experience. And then obviously the last piece, and I'm sure you've heard this many times before, especially if you've talked to me, but the pace at which education moves is obviously a lot different than what it moves at industry levels. And for us to turn is more like a big ship. And we're better at making plans for the future than we are at pivoting, in a very short amount of time. So, if it's somebody that's working with us here at the Career Academy, we're about building out our experiences over the next 3 to 4 years. So what are those careers going to look like? What are those need areas going to be like within our industry partners? Those are the things that we have a lot more control over than if we get somebody that comes in and says, "I need 10 employees right now." That's just not a very realistic expectation for education to be able to pivot at that amount of time. So, those are the pieces that I would say on the Minnesota side are maybe a little bit different than the North Dakota side. But like I said, the opportunity for us to communicate and work together on this stuff is all going to be vital going forward. This last slide here just talks about our different academies. So if there's any interest in our farm to table, business and entrepreneurship, IT design thinking, health and human potential, liberal arts communication, and our business or our distribution, manufacturing, transportation academies, if there's something that fits within your world, we obviously are willing to expand some things. We're always looking to find new business and industry partners and try to figure out ways that we can give our students better and more real world experiences.
Cool. Thank you, Tom, for walking through this. And a couple of things that Tom mentioned that I want to recap for both the last webinar that we had and the one that's coming up. So for the employers that are on the call, in terms of like what to expect in terms of timing and the differences between schools, we will be sending out a recording to the webinar that we had on Wednesday of this week that covered some of those topics. And actually for Moorhead and Minnesota specifically, our next webinar focusing on ag and construction work-based learning next Thursday, we will actually have some of those folks from Department of Labor and Industry on to talk about some of those restrictions. So Thank you so much, Tom, for walking through this. I think the program of study is a really important thing that we want employers to understand is happening in the classroom, that students actually can take classes that are getting them ready for what a career would look like, and why it's so important to have those industry partners helping educate even the schools on what skills are needed, what are the industry trends, where are things moving to. So appreciate that. If you have any questions for Tom, please put those in the chat, and then we will save some time at the end of this for those questions. So next, I want to turn it over to Dr. Denise Jonas, who is the director of CTE for Cass County. Denise's name comes up in almost every conversation that I have, at least with employers on the North Dakota side of the river. Denise is very involved in a lot of different initiatives, and I will turn it over to her to talk a little bit about what's happening on the North Dakota side. Denise? Denise, you might be on mute. Sorry.
I am on mute. You'd think I would know this by now, right? But thanks, Patrick. Tom, thanks for the great update on the Moorhead Career Academy and all the work you're doing. Some of the conversation that I will be having will be very similar, because ultimately workforce development conversations around career and technical education are really a national conversation. And so there's many themes that happen between both of our states, but then again, back to Tom's point, some of the vocabulary that we use and some of the strategies that we use are unique to each state. And so one of the things that I think is unique to North Dakota and also unique to Cass County is just the model that we're using. Tom showed you a visual of the Moorhead Career Academy, which is absolutely gorgeous. But in our Cass County area, what we're doing is we are leveraging the network of our K-12 school systems and a partnership with NDSCS as a post-secondary partner to be able to share career and technical education programs. And again, that relevance for career-connected learning and experiences coming through our career and technical education programs. So this visual, the Cass County Career and Technical Education Center, is what is at the heart of the network. And our goal is to have myself and Lana as our business partner liaison. We have a curriculum coordinator, and we have some individuals at each high school helping with curriculum and support for career and technical education. But what you'll notice is the number one item, we have individual high schools that provide career and technical education. So you can see some of the mascots or logos for each of our high schools, like North, South, Davies, West Fargo High School, Northern Cass, Central Cass, Cheyenne, West Fargo High, Horace, and also then our locations of NDSCS on 19th Avenue, and the new location, which will be the Career Innovation Center, which will be serving more across Cass County and the southern side of our community. And what we're doing is we have career and technical education programming that's been in existence for decades. But what we're trying to do is, first of all, increase our quality of career and technical education programming in the schools, and then expand that to include work-based learning experiences and cooperative work experiences. So some of that is already happening within our individual high schools, but we're trying to approach it more systemically as an ecosystem across our Cass County network. The career, if you can go back just a second on that slide, the Career Innovation Center will be probably symbolic of a hub of this work when we open, and the Career Innovation Center will open the fall of August 2025. So that'll be really a fun project, again, similar to the Career Academy in Moorhead, but at the same time, we will have some post-secondary programming in that building as well. So that'll kind of connect us to NDSCS college courses. And then one thing I want to share with you is a couple other concepts that really is fueling the idea of career-connected experiences from elementary to middle school to high school, beyond career and technical education. And so some of you that may be working with Northern Cass or West Fargo Public Schools, they have a personalized learning model, and where we're having students really reflect and think about what they like as a learner, how they learn, what their aptitude is, and then how that connects to careers for their future. and what post-secondary they might need, or what work experiences they might want to try as they're thinking about their goals for the future. So we'll hear personalized learning activities that you might have in your community, or a connection to an elementary teacher talking about personalized learning. We also have something specific, a little bit similar to the Moorhead model about the academy model in West Fargo Public Schools. And that's really looking at the whole high school and how we think about career connected learning within the whole high school as well. And so I think what I want to share with you is there's a lot of models that are working on partnerships from K-12 education to the business community world. And we know that's happening. So what the goal of this work is try to be more systemic to help you be more efficient, help you understand the variety of approaches that are happening across North Dakota and Minnesota and across really Cass Clay counties as we work together. So I think that's just kind of our big network on our side of the river. And so if you want to click forward now, Lana spoke a little bit about this in our first webinar session. And it also kind of ties back to what Tom talked about too, was the fact that there's some experiences, we call them maybe more like a tier 1 experience of awareness that many of our learners are experiencing from elementary to middle school to high school. And so again, stepping up as guest speakers, coming into the school, hosting a tour, participating in the Career Expo that happens every fall at the Fargo Dome. Those are really big events that serve many, many students. And then we also have what we call a tier 2 exploration that really gets into our classroom settings, where students might be building a house, running a restaurant, running the school store, very capstone projects. Junior Achievement does a great partnership with us on entrepreneurship, and they build their own line and product and brand and start their own company, and they can keep it or dissolve it, big projects. And so those are really impactful for our students. And then finally, one of the biggest areas of focus for us is this tier 3, really career preparation, which we call work-based learning. And Tom referred to internships in the Moorhead side, and we're really calling it cooperative work experience on the North Dakota side. And this is where I feel like it can get confusing for business partners. And we really want to try to help you see why we need to have those, the vocabulary the way it is, but also help you understand that connection, how it can be one and the same in some ways as well. So pathways in Moorhead, you can see that we have many pathways as to, we're kind of listing out the program areas right now. With anywhere from agriculture to automotive, aviation, and our business. You can see them listed at the bottom. But within each of those program areas, we might have one pathway, or we may have 2 or 3 pathways. Our family and consumer science, for example, they end up leaning into the education pathway, the culinary hospitality, and also like the visual arts and interior design. And so for them, there's a few extra pathways that might fit individual businesses differently based on what your company and organization is servicing or promoting, producing. So those are some of our pathways, and our approach to, again, back to Tom's journey is from the exploration piece, but kind of thinking that could almost be elementary to middle school and into high school on our side of the river. And then moving forward, just a little more detail that was described. We use the coordinated plan of study in North Dakota. And this is just an example of a few of the coordinated plans of studies, kind of to give you a visual. If you remember from your high school or college experience that you needed to register and sign up for classes. And in North Dakota, we have a list of all of the coordinated plans by that career and technical education program area. And what we want is our students to be thinking about exploring and finding what their passion area is, and then diving into a coursework. And if they feel like that's really something they're more interested in, they would continue to take classes within that pathway. Some students might find out, I thought I wanted to be in business management, but maybe I wanted to be in it related to construction. So now I'm going to take coursework in building trades or construction, and my business and my construction might cross over as well. So we're thinking about these pathways. And what we find important about the pathways is it's truly giving them technical knowledge. And in cases, Tom referenced certifications. So our students will complete an OSHA 10 so that you would know that they have safety training. That might also be in the restaurant area so that they have food safe safety training. And it just helps you know that these students have completed a plan of study that is really specific to that content area and technical skills. And before we have them go out to work-based learning with you and do any kind of cooperative work experience, we're asking the student have completed 1 full year in that pathway. That will give them a solid foundation of if they're really interested in it. And also that will help set you up that you have a student coming to you that has some background knowledge or technical skills in that particular area. And that is likely to create more success for you, more opportunity for that student to expand on their knowledge and be safe and prepared to come to you. And then I think one final thing that's an important piece of our work is we hear all the time from our advisory committees that they would like students to have more professional skills, communication, timeliness, responsibility, problem solving, working as a team to collaborate. And so a part of our cooperative work experience is leaning into what we call the career ready practices, which are really a national model as well. And we are leaning into the 5 areas of responsibility as an employee. That could be anywhere from their professional attire to timeliness to project management skills, technical skills, of course, with their pathway. And then we also have what does communication look like? What is problem solving skills, and then teamwork. And so if businesses would like to work with us on developing the coordinated plan of studies, we have those in place, but we would tie into you as far as the business and say, line up with the student's goal. And then how can you give us feedback around the career ready practices with that student when they're working for you? So again, just trying to make that student more prepared and be ready to be a good employee for you, but also having you give them feedback from the lens of an employer versus the school lens. So that's kind of that connection, a little bit different in the state of North Dakota. And again, more details to come on that process. But I think finally, the last slide I have is really why I'm passionate about this conversation. I've been doing this job for 11 years. Patrick and I met in 2018. And what I recognized over the years is that as a business community, we have many businesses and they're interested in this work, but you do have a lot of people coming at you from a different lens. It could be Moorhead Schools, it could be NDSU, it could be Fargo Public Schools, it could be Hillsborough and Hawley and DGF. And so I think our goal over the next 3 years is to help create an ecosystem that would be more efficient, more collaborative, to help it be more efficient for you and get students to your workplace that are prepared and safe and just have a great experience. So I think that's kind of our whole long game plan. And to Tom's point, we don't have a fast pivot. We have a long game plan, and we have cycles like Lana shared on Wednesday. So if we can start working with you now, then hopefully we can get into a cycle with you every school year and summer to have students ready to be on the workforce for you. So that's a few things from this side of the state related to Cass County.
Cool. Thank you so much, Dr. Jonas, for walking us through that. I appreciate it very much. And, I think what we are seeing is a lot of innovation in this space, not just in the region, but really across Minnesota, across North Dakota. When I think about North Dakota, there's been a big investment in CT centers across the state. The Bismarck Career Academy has been going for a long time. The Impact Academy up in Grand Forks, the Bakken Area Skills Center in Watford City, the Williston Basin CT Center in Williston, North Dakota. Detroit Lakes has a career academy. And the goal, again, is like, how do we give students relevant education that's going to mean something to them when they graduate? So it's really been great to see that investment, but that's also requires a lot of partnership from the employers. For those of you on the phone that are already working across state lines, you might understand some of those deltas and the different processes. And what our goal is, and with people like Dr. Jonas and Tom, it's like, how do we make that easier? So I'm going to pivot a little bit now and talk a little bit about how you as an employer or even as a school can take advantage of some of the systematic work that we're driving to make these connections. So we learned about what Tom and Dr. Jonas do. We've talked about the program of study. You've seen the classes that are being offered, but how do you as an employer really plug into this? And then also, how do you take it, basically, how do you drive workforce? And we know that from the employer lens, everything should have an ROI, whether that ROI is a benefit like awareness or brand recognition, or if that ROI is actual cost savings. We want to make sure that you're seeing a benefit in all this work that you're doing. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about is about how you as an employer can engage. And I want to talk to you about something that we work with employers on around called career profiles, that are ways to kind of give students a foundation to help them understand, like, what are the classes, what are the things that I should do to get ready for this career that then can lead into the different experiences that they can do locally, including work-based learning. So for the system that we've built at Golden Path, it's called Compass. We talked a little bit about how you can create accounts in the prior webinar. I'll show that slide again. But really, there are 4 things that we're trying to help employers get connected to. And both Tom and Dr. Jonas talked about some of these. So the first one is awareness. Like, how do we just help students know who you are and what you do? You'd be amazed at how many students don't know about companies that are in their own backyard, or might not understand careers that they would be a perfect fit for because they've just never been exposed to it. They may not have broad social networks. They may not have, they might not be connected into those jobs, or especially in rural communities, they might just not have those employers around. So the first thing is, how can we help you as an employer get connected both to the schools and to the students? And the way that we do that really is by having you create what we call your overview. When you create your account, you choose the schools to share your opportunities with, and then students and educators can basically learn about who you are and what you do. And we encourage employers to put in information that is going to be relevant for students. So remember who your audience is. So when you're putting in descriptions of your culture or descriptions of what your missions are, think about doing that in the context of how to get a student excited about it versus someone like me that might be looking for a different job or a different career. The next step is what we call career exposure. And both of these next 2 steps kind of align to that career exploration that Dr. Jonas was talking about. Career exposure is getting you in front of students at a career fair or a guest speaking engagement or a field trip or a tour, something where you're talking to maybe multiple students all at once, maybe giving them a high level overview of who you are, just sharing with you information about the products that you make, maybe a little bit about your culture or the jobs that are important to you. And a lot of you on the call, and we've seen just a skyrocketing number of employers participating in these events, which is awesome. I can't remember how many employers we had at the last Fargo Career Expo, but it was over 100, which is great. Career engagement is where a student is actually doing some work with you, whether that's a work-based learning opportunity. It could even be a summer job. It could be a simulation. In some cases, even a student having a hands-on experience in the classroom, doing something maybe in conjunction with an employer coming in and visiting, can sometimes count as work-based learning. Many of you probably drive by schools where you see a house in the parking lot. Those experiences, again, giving students real-world experiences that are going to translate into a potential career, can sometimes count as that career engagement piece. And how employers like you can plug into that, it was the topic of our last webinar, where you can post internships, cooperative work experiences, job shadows, and all that sort of thing. And I'll touch base really quickly on how you can do that. And then finally, when the student is getting ready to graduate, our hope here is that the student has been able to try out some different things. They've met with different employers. They've maybe taken some different classes within their program of study, and they have a good idea of what they want to do. And that's going to help them make a better decision about what's next, whether it's I'm going to go to a 2-year degree or a 4-year program or get a certification, or in some cases, maybe even enter the workforce. We're hearing from a lot of students that they want to start working right away and maybe get their certification as they are actually after they've already got a job. Apprenticeships are also becoming a bigger talking point at the state level and even the national level. And we want to help students make good decisions about what's best for them based on all of the experiences that they can have in high school. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how you do this in the system. So Heidi, if you could go to the next slide. So this is the same slide that we shared from our prior presentation, but the very basic thing that you as an employer can do, if any of you on the call have not done this yet, is just create an account in our system. And basically the URL is there. Once you create your account, put information in about who you are. We call it the company overview. You can add social media links, you can add pictures, you can add videos, whatever you want to do to help students know more about who you are and what you do. You can really do a lot to help convey who you are to the student. And I would encourage you to do that. Actually share a lot of information. We hear from students that they love videos and links and pictures and all the things that helps them kind of understand what you do and what you're looking for. The next thing we would have you do is join the Connections database. That is where you basically go through and you check some of those boxes on the things that you as an employer are willing to offer. So whether it be a career fair or a guest speaking engagement, when you check those boxes, that's actually shared to people like Dr. Jonas and Tom and their teams so that they know that they can call you up and invite you to those events. And it's just a great way to get connected. If you're an employer that works across the state, you can do this and choose all schools, like you see in the example. And your information will be shared with people, not just here in the region, but really any user of Compass, which could be across the entire state of North Dakota and Minnesota. That's the basic thing, and we would encourage you to do this. The career profiles on the next slide are where you can describe a little bit more about what it is that you're actually looking for in a future worker. And this usually is career specific. So we don't want this system to become a job board. That's really not the intent. But what we want to do is help students understand what are the careers that you're offering, what are the skills that are needed to be successful, maybe even what are the classes and the activities and the different things that a student can do in high school that can get them ready for this, or maybe also to help them understand that this isn't for them. We want you to be able to articulate what you are looking for in terms of post-secondary education and even highlight whether you have partnerships with some of those organizations that you saw either on Wednesday or in Denise's slide. So like, do you have a relationship with NDSU? Do you have a relationship with NDSCS? Do you have a relationship with Linus Welding, where a student might get a 16-week certification to start working? Whatever it is, we want to help you be able to tell that to the student so that can be part of the student's evaluation, whether or not they might want to pursue an opportunity with you. You can see an example of one of those career profiles in the bottom right corner. This is with a local orthodontic clinic, We Ortho. They are looking for dental assistants. We hear a lot, dental assistants and dental hygienists are in high demand. So when we build these, we actually interview team members. We can take very informal videos of some of your people and actually embed those right in the career profile. And the value then is the student has the career profile as an anchor that can then help them know what to talk to you about when you're at a career fair. Or if you were to invite We Ortho into a health sciences class and the students have read through the career profile, they already know something about what We Ortho is looking for, about their culture. Maybe they even know some names of the people that are there. Those are all the things that will help break down the barriers and help make the conversations between you and students more meaningful. The other thing that we can also do is these career profiles are things that you can also share with other students, maybe not using Compass. You might be able to share them with college students, maybe even with other people that you're talking with outside of the region. We want to make these profiles as valuable to you as an employer as possible, but we also want them to tell a great story to students about what it is that you're looking for. I think Bobcat might have the most career profiles with us. I think they might have 6 or 7, but that's usually what we recommend, maybe between 2 or 3 or 4, because you don't want to articulate every single role that you need, but you do want to tell students, these are the things that are important to us. Maybe provide different entry points for your organization. What are the roles that don't need any degree? What are the roles that might need a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree? And then who are the colleges that you partner with? And you can even build these career profiles yourself, depending on the membership level that you have with us. If you go to the next slide. So you've done the work, you've gotten this information out there, you've published a work-based learning opportunity. Dr. Jonas and Tom both mentioned that sometimes the pace of the school moves differently than it does for industry. And this is something that at Golden Path, we actually see that because we work with both audiences. So awareness of all of this stuff is super important. Helping students know that these opportunities exist, helping them know that you're offering these different opportunities, and that they can even go into a classroom, maybe even go to a teacher and say, I want to learn more about this organization, or I heard that this company might be offering a work-based learning opportunity. Can you help me find out more about that? That's super important. So what we've done here is there's just some very high-level examples of different marketing tools that you as an employer can use to get the word out. And some of these we've actually partnered with some of you on the call to build. So social posts with Butler, just putting out there that this is something that is there and people should go check it out. Recently, the Moorhead Career Academy had Family Healthcare come in, and Family Healthcare posted pictures of them being at the school. This is a great marketing opportunity for companies when you are going in. Talking about your investment in students is a great way to build brand awareness and just show the goodwill that you have for the organization. We actually sometimes will work with employers on creating pictures that can be put on screens in the buildings themselves so that students can understand what's there and give a little bit of brand recognition to the employer. We have flyers that you can bring to career fairs that you can actually customize and co-brand. So you can put your opportunities, your culture, your pictures, whatever it is that you want, you can put that on those and then basically share them. And then also, if you are a guest speaker, if you are going to a classroom, that last picture there is a gentleman, Dave, from True North Steel, who spoke to a welding class. Again, taking pictures and being able to share those and actually using that as a first step to start to connect with those students that might be interested in one of those higher level things, whether it be a job shadow or an internship or whatever. I will share with you a checklist of things that you can do on the next slide. But before I do that,
Patrick, you accidentally muted yourself.
oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I was going to talk to you real quick about what you can do as an employer, almost like a checklist. But before I do that, I want to talk about one more way that you can kind of market yourself and get yourself out there. And that is a program that the Chamber is driving called EdVentures. So Jane, I'd like you to just share a few comments about EdVentures before we go to this last slide.
Sure. Thanks, Patrick. So for those of you that aren't familiar with EdVentures, this is a program that we work very collaboratively with Dr. Jonas, Lana, and others to facilitate every year to provide experiential learning, for lack of better terms, for our educators. We know that our educators don't often get the opportunity to experience the end product of what their students are doing out in their careers. So we try to curate a variety of hour-and-a-half experiences throughout a week to provide real world experience for those educators within those different companies and hopefully within some of your companies as well. So if you are interested, what the commitment looks like is it would be 90 minutes where you open your doors to educators. We often ask you to do kind of an immersive or hands-on experience for those educators, share a little bit about your company, and also talk more about what are the specific skills, knowledge, and attributes that make a successful employee in the variety of careers that you offer through your organization or business. So if that is something that interests you, I'm going to pop a little bit more information into the chat, and we will share. I'd be happy to share any other further information or follow up on any questions that you might have related to that. This year, it is in the middle of June, and I don't want to misspeak on the timing of that. But the Adventures goes June 16th through the 20th. So it would just be an hour-and-a-half session sometime throughout there. So we look forward to the opportunity of maybe welcoming some of you into the Adventures world. And I'll put some more information in the chat. Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, and I think that's a great program. We've actually, for any of the folks on this call that have been in any of the trainings that CTE has done, occasionally there will be visits either by employers coming to a classroom, or there will be field trips for the educators. And it's always an amazing opportunity. It's kind of fun to see the educators get really excited about what they're seeing, and then they can ask really great questions. So the Adventures program is a great program. So thanks, Jane, for walking through that. So real quick, before we kind of wrap up and I hand it back to Jane for questions and a quick survey, we thought it would be useful to put together a very high-level checklist for you on things that you can do as an employer to kind of get started. Because again, you hear a lot of different things, and it's maybe when you go back to real life, you may not remember everything. We'll be sending this deck out to you, and we'll put together a resources slide that will also share some of this information with you. But basically, the first step, again, is to create an overview of your company and share that with students. And you can do that, again, by creating an Accounting Compass. Several of you on the phone are already in there. So then the next step would be to really think about the different experiences that you're willing to offer to students in schools, whether it be a guest speaker, a career fair, offering job shadows. Just check the boxes. Or if you want, you can always check a school's website. We are starting to publish events from the schools to employers, so you understand when there is a career fair that you might want to go to and where to learn more about it. Those are just really great events. And if you attend one, just block off your calendar for the same time next year, because chances are there will be another one around the same time. The dates may change, but at least you can be ready for it, and you're aware that it's going to happen. Job shadows are a great way to give students a taste of what you do, but they're also very low commitment on your side. And in some cases, we're actually seeing schools require students to do job shadows. A job shadow could be as quick as a student coming and spending a couple hours with you, and then maybe learning more about work-based learning that you might offer. It could also be a little bit more involved if there are things that you might want the student to do or activities you might want them to try. But again, just a really great way, especially for sophomores, like lowerclassmen, to start to understand if this is a career that they want to pursue. Then they can actually take the appropriate classes and the different things for that. Consider doing a classroom activity. A lot of times, if you coordinate it with the school, they might actually let you come in and do some kind of activity with students, maybe during a specific class, maybe during free time. We've even seen some things happen with robotics clubs or different things. It's a great way for you, again, to have a little bit more interaction with the students and maybe identify who is a really strong candidate that might be a good fit for a co-op or whatever you might be willing to offer. That work-based learning experience kind of in the middle of the screen, that's super important if you want to start developing a relationship with a student. There are programs that you could offer students after they graduate around tuition reimbursement, and work-based learning is a great way to see if that student is a good fit. It's actually really been fun, and I think Dr. Jonas and others would attest to this. When a student has a great experience, like that group that Tom talked about, they go back and then they tell their friends. So that work-based learning opportunity is not just a great way to get connected to the talent you need, but it actually is a great way to drive some good marketing and good brand recognition with other students and maybe parents. It can also go the other way. So if you're going to offer work-based learning, make sure that you have a good mentor identified. Make sure that you really thought through it, because you don't want the student to have a bad experience. You can build a career profile. We can talk to you about those processes with memberships. You can offer tuition reimbursement or sponsorships, we call them. Every state might have different programs, but North Dakota has what's called the North Dakota Career Builders program, where the state actually will match money that you put towards a student's tuition. And we can help you learn more about that if you're interested. And we're also seeing programs like the relationship that Moorhead Public Schools just started with Moorhead State University, Minnesota State University, Moorhead, around free tuition for students that meet certain criteria. So there's a lot of really interesting things happening there. You can do all of this work with college students. So we focused a lot on the high school experience, but you can do a lot of this stuff with colleges. So reach out to Becky Bay from NDSU. She was on the call that we did earlier. Every campus has their own career department, and create an account in Handshake where you can do a lot of the same things that you can do in our system, Compass. And then finally, you can offer graduates jobs. Like I said, some students are actually interested in working right when they graduate. And in Compass, if you have a career profile, you can actually make it available now, and students know that that is something that they can start doing as soon as they graduate. And that actually might be a great first step if you want to contribute to a student's tuition. Maybe have them work with you for a little bit, let them know that that tuition reimbursement is part of their career path, and that could be a great fit for a long-term relationship between you and that student. With that, I think that is the last of the slides that I wanted to talk to you about. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jane. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat and Jane will bring those up and go through it. And then Jane, I know you'll talk about the survey. So back to you, Jane.
Yeah, and thanks, Melissa, for the question. The question was, North Dakota has career builders. Is there anything the equivalent over in Minnesota? And Melissa, I'll also answer in the chat so it can provide you some resources. They do have their workforce development scholarship program, which is similar. It does not necessarily provide that incentive for the business, but it does provide individuals that are seeking education or retraining some of those opportunities in those specific trades and those kind of things. And, you know, Tom, if you have any additional insight, I'd be please chime in. But Melissa, that's the equivalent really over there. But if you have questions about those sponsorships or some of those things, I'd be more than happy to answer that. I always joke that I'm a recovering higher education administrator, so I spent a little bit too much time in that sponsorship financial aid world, navigating some of that. So more than happy to share and to guide also on the Minnesota side and put you into contact with those individuals over there. So thanks again for the question. Are there any other questions at this point? And as you're thinking of all those wonderful questions, because we do have a few minutes left, I'd ask you to take out your devices, which I know we all either were on or they're nearby, and scan that QR code and please provide us some feedback. This is really the second of a three-part series that we are collaborating with Golden Pass Solutions and Patrick and his team on to provide that. And so we're very excited to be able to provide that to all of you, and we would love your feedback. How well was this received? Other questions, other concerns, and what more can we do to support you in this navigation of work-based learning into your organizations, businesses, and your industry? And I know Dr. Jonas has something else that she'd like to share.
Yeah, I was just going to say one last comment too. One thing that we've noticed in some of the strategies as far as employers coming on board with cooperative work experience or pre-apprenticeship programs, I think it was working really well with John Deere Solutions, now IGS, when they decided to bring 2 students on at a time. And that was just, I think I'll just throw out a strategy. Sometimes a company may or may not be have the capability to bring on more than 1 student at a time. But that was a great strategy because it helped the student have a partner. And so I think just when you think about different ideas that might be floating around in your mind after this session, please know we have some examples like that of success stories that might also be an idea or a question that you'd have as you're filling out that questionnaire about are there companies that we could maybe share as models and might have strategies that might help you as well. So just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Well, I always want to ensure that I express my gratitude, especially to Tom Dryberg over at Moorhead, at the Moorhead Career Academy, and Dr. Jonas and Lana with the Cass County Career Technical Education Center. Just an amazing opportunities that we have within our community, but also recognizing that these types of opportunities and connection points exist throughout the state of North Dakota and Minnesota. So do not hesitate to reach out and we can get you connected. But we feel very, very fortunate to have two experts with us today. So thank you, Denise and Tom, for your willingness to share that information, and Lana for your continued support. Patrick, for you pulling us all together and sharing your great tool that helps really provide that conduit for that work-based learning connection. We're very, very fortunate in this region in North Dakota and Minnesota to have support not only community-wide, but also through legislative dollars and allocations. And so we feel very, very fortunate for that. So thank you. And then also thank you for joining us today. Your commitment to the emerging workforce is very much appreciated and needed. And our main goal here at the Chamber and throughout is to ensure that we have a thriving region. And one way that we need to do that is ensuring that we have a workforce fulfilled with skilled workers. And so you're all part of this important ecosystem to get us there. So we appreciate it. And again, our main goal today is to provide information, but also for you to know and understand that we're here to help, and we want to provide support to that emerging workforce. So I wouldn't do my job if I wouldn't talk about our next upcoming webinar, so you can learn even more about work-based learning, which I know you're just waiting for. Our next work-based learning opportunity is coming up May 15th, and that is going to be focused on the agriculture and construction industry. So going a little bit of a deeper dive into those two industries to talk about some of the opportunities and some of the challenges and how we can help support you through those challenges. So we look forward to that. All of that is available on our website. We'll drop that into the chat as well. If you haven't had a chance to register for that, we encourage you to do so. Again, free and will be recorded. And so if you miss that, we will be able to share that out as well. So with that, Patrick, anything else? Denise, Tom, anything that you would like to add?
No, I would actually just say thank you, Jane, and thanks to Heidi for also being great partners in this effort and, helping use the Chamber as a way to help make sure that employers are aware of this, but also supporting our students and ultimately our communities. So appreciate the partnership.
Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And again, you'll be, please fill out that evaluation. It provides an opportunity for us to share more information and to ensure that we're meeting the needs of our employers. So please fill that out. And again, thank you. Happy Friday. We're on the weekend slide. So we'll see you all back on May 15th, hopefully for our next work-based learning webinar. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.